Welcome to another Fantasy Game Plan. I'm your host, Ronaldo Wynn, along with Joey D and my man Pernski right here. And let's not forget the director right here. And as we always started off with the Redskin report this week, we got a big one here. It's as big as they get. Redskins at the Cowboys.
We want Dallas.
Ooh.
We want Dallas.
Everything's different on Dallas week. We got the Charlotte race here in town, but what we're thinking about is Redskins Dallas. Sunday night, prime time, walking into the Big D. RG3's never lost against him. I'm just going to say right now, I don't think he does.
Okay.
I think this might be the fantasy bonanza of the weekend in terms of points scored. I think they're going to be chucking it all over the place, as evidenced by last week. How about Tony Romo? 500 yards, 5 touchdowns, and they're mad at him in Dallas. That ought to tell you about Dallas Cowboy fans.
It's unbelievable. As a disgruntled Giants fan, I'm the biggest Redskins fan this weekend.
I wasn't going to mention that.
Go Redskins. Redskins are going to win this one. Alfred Morris is back.
You think? I like that.
Pierre Garçon.
Start both of those.
Roy Halou sighting. I think Roy Halou gets in the end zone.
You have now mentioned Roy Halou 2 weeks in a row. we have got a Roy Halou fetish over here. All right, we got Redskins. I think we like
Redskins, man. I have RG3 and Alfred Morris, so those are two guys I'm going to start. And you seem to think that RG3 is going to be back. He's going to score some points for those fantasy guys that may be thinking about whether or not they start RG3.
He's going to have to throw this weekend. I think they've spent 2 weeks thinking about how do we get him back into last year's form. I think they got to run the read option. I think you're going to see him run a little bit more. I keep having flashbacks to Thanksgiving Day when he was chucking it all over the place against Dallas. I think it happens again. I think it's a shootout again.
And something they had a fantasy football certainty. Always start your players against anybody playing against any NFC East team this year. It's a bona fide victory for you.
That's a good call.
Buy, sell. We're going to start off with Phillip Rivers.
Phillip Rivers.
I'm a Phillip Rivers owner in one league, and I'm buying him right now. He's got some interesting new weapons around him. This Keenan Allen kid, Vincent Brown, Malcolm Floyd will be back at some point. Gates is the Gates of old.
Go ahead and tell him.
I'm not going to tell him about the Gates trade for Cordarrelle Patterson from Minnesota.
Early in the year, he had to talk me into Gates because I had Gates last year. So.
Hoodwinked with that. I helped burn out to the tune of 30 points, but I am buying Phillip Rivers. He looks like his old self. He's slinging the ball out there. They have no defense. Throw.
I'm buying him too. Again, like we say every week, it's all about value. If you can get a good value for him, hopefully the owner's thinking that he's going to turn into the Phillip Rivers of the last 2 years, and he might. But right now, dance with who brung you. I'm buying Phillip Rivers.
I'm going right with you guys. I agree. I got to buy him as well. What we got next, director?
Tony Romo.
I will say, and we got some heat on some of our calls from last week. 3-2 on our picks, 2-3 over here. But each of us, we did say last week, start Tony Romo. He's going to have a big week. And did he have a big week? I'm actually buying Tony Romo again. Hate rooting for a Cowboy, but for fantasy, you got to put your pride aside. And the bottom line is the guy can play football. Now, whether he wins the big game or not does not affect your fantasy team because he can throw for yardage and he can throw for touchdowns. I'm buying Tony Romo.
I'm still not sold on the Redskins defense as well, so... when I look at Tony Romo, if you are not a Redskin fan, obviously you definitely have to buy him because he's going to make you some money. What do you think?
Absolutely Tony Romo all the way. Terrence Williams looks like a good receiver. Austin comes back soon. DeMarco Murray's healthy. It's week 6. That's a record.
Where do you find these receivers?
I don't know, but
I haven't been sold on the Redskins defense since Reno97 left.
That's a good call.
Appreciate that.
Julius Thomas, tight end, Denver Broncos.
We also called Julius Thomas last week. We said he was going to have a big game. You never know with Denver who they're going to chuck it to, but it seems like he's a constant.
I played Kensett this weekend. He killed me with his 2 tight end set, Julius Thomas, Vernon Davis, to the tune of 60 points. Thomas is for real all season long. It's pinball machine video game numbers in Denver all year.
Yeah, I got to agree. I got to go with Thomas. He's having an awesome year, and guess who they're playing? My old team, the Jacksonville Jaguars, they can't stop a nosebleed.
The only thing to be worried about this weekend is that your starters may only be in the game till halftime. After that, there may be guys you've never heard of, including quarterbacks. So hopefully they get theirs quick.
Little tip for you boomer bust players: this team's the weekend 0-4. You guys 1-4, 0-5. Start Chad Henne, start Cecil Short, start Justin Blackman because they're going to be throwing all day against Denver.
What about MJD?
Not so much.
Crawdaddies, I know you want to talk about beating Pernski here this week for his undefeated. Go ahead, just say.
The mighty have fallen. Crawdaddies with
no longer undefeated right here. No longer.
Crawdaddies is floating around the office all week.
Crawdaddies Peyton Manning and Alshon Jeffries single-handedly beat. I'm now 0-1 with Drew Brees on my team. So congratulations.
We got that out of the way.
It's still lonely at the top.
What about one of my players, Alshon Jeffrey?
Love Alshon Jeffrey. South Carolina used to watch this kid all the time. His junior year was off the charts awesome. Senior year he struggled because that Garcia quarterback wasn't good, but he's finally the Alshon Jeffrey everybody knew he'd be.
I'm an Alshon Jeffrey owner in my Washington League. Huge fan, although I'll say for this week there's 2 knocks against him. The Thursday night curse is, for some reason, Thursday night games just seem to be a little lower scoring, and if you're buying them, you may not want to buy him the week after a 200-yard, 2-touchdown effort. So let him cool off for a week, then buy him next week.
Would you
That's my
put that guy at a
recommendation.
flex, or would he still be a number 2? Or
No, I
what do you
think he's a wide receiver 3 on
Yeah.
most teams for sure. And if you've got a spot, unfortunately, I'm leaving him on my bench this week because I've got Decker and I've got Torrey Smith that I have ahead of him this week, and it's going to be tough to leave him on the bench again. He's yet to start for me while he's scoring all these points.
Now, Pernski's right about the Thursday night jinx, but except when they're playing the New York Giants, my team on Thursday night. Start them, start them, start them.
Swiss cheese defense they got. How about Matt Forte?
Forte.
Points per reception league, Matt Forte, you start every day, every day. Every
Say it, don't spray it, brother.
Absolutely buying Forte.
I'm sold on this new offense. Again, Thursday night they seem to run the ball a little more. I think it's a heavy dose of Matt Forte. I'm buying Matt.
I agree. Whenever you got a running back that can catch the ball out the backfield, you got to buy him.
Yeah.
All right, this week's games are a little bit different. Not a whole lot of marquee matchups, but we're going to go through it anyway. We're going to start off with Detroit at Cleveland.
Detroit, Rock City.
It all depends. Is Calvin Johnson playing or not? Calvin Johnson plays. Director? Calvin Johnson plays. They have a shot. If he doesn't play, Detroit's got no chance.
Well, this guy right here did pick Detroit to beat Green Bay. How'd that work out for you? So he's staying
Didn't know
with that.
Calvin wasn't playing.
I don't know. Cleveland's found some sort of genie in a bottle. They've got something special going on
Quarterback's
there.
injured, though.
They've got you know what? But this one's in Cleveland. I don't know. I'm going out on a limb. I'm gonna take the upset. I like the Browns in this one.
I'm going Detroit.
How about Oakland at Kansas City?
The Raiders.
I tell you what, Terrell Pryor's for real. He's been a real exciting player this year. Kansas City at home, it's like Seattle at home. You never bet against them at home.
I think that's a grind it out. Jamal Charles owners ought to be excited about that game. I think he's going to have a big week. I like Kansas City as well.
Yeah, I still think the Oakland Raiders will still give them a great game, but at the end of the day, they're at home, and I think they stay undefeated.
Green Bay at Baltimore.
Green Bay at Baltimore. I got to go with Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers. I think, Baltimore, they're not clicking. They're not in rhythm, so I got to go with Green Bay.
Took a little criticism last week. We said sell on Ray Rice. Anyone who watched that game, he plunged in for a couple. Hey, probably helped your team. And again, I still said buy Ray Rice if you can get value. He's not the same back that he was. Baltimore just doesn't have the same mojo going on.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely like Green Bay in this one.
Baltimore lost their mojo to San Francisco. His name is Anquan Bolden. I go Green Bay.
Good call.
New Orleans at New England.
Ooh, this is juicy. This is juicy, except New England doesn't have their toys. They're supposed to get Gronkowski back. Amendola looks like he's back. If those guys are to form, it could be a better game. New Orleans defense much improved. I'm taking New Orleans.
Do you start those guys if they do come back?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
This is the second weekend in a row that New Orleans is an underdog. This weekend, 2.5 points. I am all over that. I know Drew Brees isn't the same when he's on the road. That just means he only scores 40 instead of 50. I like New Orleans in this one.
I like New Orleans as well.
And last but not least on Monday night, Indianapolis at San Diego.
Might be the game of the week. What do you think there, Reno?
Well, San Diego, they lost at home to teams that they shouldn't have lost to, and I got to go with Indy.
I'm a believer. Andrew Luck. Now, I will say Trent Richardson owners out there, I'm not sure it's time to panic yet, but it is after this week if he doesn't do something. He's on Monday night. The world is watching. The league is watching. It's time for Trent Richardson to show everybody that he's the first-round pick that he was. And how about 100 yards rushing and a touchdown? I think this is the week he has a big one, and I like Indy in this game.
I agree with my two co-hosts. Indy is for real this year. Talking playoffs, could be a potential Super Bowl entry.
Playoffs?
Beating San Francisco in San Fran, beating Seattle last week. They'll take care of San Diego on the road.
He's a big T.Y. Hilton fan as well. I'm always hearing about him. It might be time to stick him in your lineup this week too, huh?
Yeah.
Don't forget,
Him and Reggie Wayne.
Yeah.
don't forget we got Atlanta and Miami on a bye, and we're gonna.
All right. Well, that's another fantasy game plan. And remember, you can always come here every week and get your tips. You got at Joey D, at Pernski, and at Ronaldo Win. Please follow us on Twitter. If you have any questions, we'll love to answer those questions that you guys may have. And don't forget the director here, at Crawdaddies.
Good luck to all your teams this week.
Take care.